Well, hello, everybody. Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And today I'm going to put a very, very tough question before you, and this is going to take some soul searching, so you don't need to answer it right away. But you are being put in a position right now, as we all are, that soon you're going to have to make a decision between the church or the state, and which one has your interests at heart. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's been a huge shift in attention that has been put in place by the Vatican on the illegal immigrant situation in the United States and in Europe. And the Vatican is in favor of open borders. They do not want any nations. They want everyone to be able to go everywhere at any time and be able to share freely, sit at anybody's table, eat freely, take freely, be accepted freely. This is not taught anywhere in the Gospels. This is not taught anywhere in general works of science fiction. But it is being taught right now by this Vatican under this Pope Leo XIV. And it was started before him by Pope Francis, and it certainly wasn't part of Benedict XVI. That was why the rest of the world pushed on the Vatican to remove Benedict XVI from office back in 2013. They did not want him to be ahead of this country, this state, if you will, that being the Vatican. They wanted somebody more open to their agenda. So now the people on the left, the liberals, always cried about separation of church and state. You can't do that. You can't make us pray. You can't make us accept your God. Well, have you noticed that they've stopped yelling about that? Why? Well, here's why. It's because the churches, all of them pretty much, who took money from the federal government as NGOs to help bring in these immigrants under the auspices of charity and compassion, at basically the cost and the safety of the rest of the society, who wasn't allowed to participate in the decision on this. They're basically said, shut the fuck up, here it comes. And they're still saying it. Why do I say that? Well, one of the last things that was it Cardinal Prevost, who's now Pope Leo XIV, did before Francis kicked the can was he moved Cardinal Robert McElroy from San Diego to the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. He made him the Archbishop of the Diocese of Washington, D.C. Why did he do that? Well, let's ask who Robert McElroy is. Robert McElroy is a very, what would we say, pronounced or authoritative figure in the Catholic Church on LGBTQ issues. So much so that he actually made statements and reposted other articles about how homosexual sex is not a sin. Homosexual sex is not a sin. Maybe you didn't hear it. Homosexual sex is not a sin. This is what Robert McElroy and the Catholic Church are trying to push now. So we've gone away from it being sinful and we must love the sinner and hate the act, to now it's not sinful. Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Well, after Leo XIV takes his office and everyone is happy with the state of affairs. He goes to replace Robert McElroy in San Diego. And who does he replace him with? Got to meet some qualifications. So what does he look for? Well, he looks for a fellow by the name of Michael Pham to be the new archbishop, or I don't know if he's cardinal now. I don't know what they did with him. It doesn't really matter because their votes really don't push anything. What matters is he brought in this LGBTQ activist out of Minnesota, moved him to San Diego. And this guy was a Vietnamese immigrant way back in the day, apparently came in legally to the system, and his family got all sorts of help and things like that at that time. Well, he moved himself up. Well, now he is in charge of San Diego. And San Diego, if a lot of you folks don't know, is one of the southernmost places, or would say diocese, in the state of California, down near the Mexican border. So Pham is now in control of San Diego. And what kind of words of wisdom were whispered in his ear as he took authority in San Diego? Well, he was told by the Pope to cause disturbance with the deportations and Donald Trump's immigration plans. So the Pope instructed the Bishop of San Diego to go in and work against the state authority and to enforce the church's position about open borders and come one, come all. There's room for everybody. Still not asking the rest of the class if they agree to be able to share their seat with these incoming people. Might be good people, but if they're coming across the border illegally, it means they haven't followed the rules. And if they're not ready to follow the rules at the beginning of the party, why should you expect them to be following the rules at the end of the party or during the party? A lawbreaker is a lawbreaker. And once they say that this doesn't really matter, no one really cares, they keep pushing that agenda, and then all of a sudden you have anarchy. So you have this faceless victim, this random person that the congresswoman from Texas wants to talk about. These are real people. And there's real people being affected by these policies all across our country that didn't sign on for what the Catholic Church believes and extols. Now, a lot of people were saying, oh, Charlie Kirk, he was on his way to being a Catholic. Ha! He went to church with his wife, Erica, who's Catholic. He loved the solemnity of the Catholic Mass, but he also understood the raw telling of lies and misconceptions that the Catholic Church presents. Now, the authority, the people out of the Vatican, the bishops and others who want to push their agenda over and above your safety and saying, well, it doesn't really matter because Jesus wanted this to happen. I don't think so. I think Jesus wanted something to happen, but I don't think this was it. So, legal immigration is typically met with an abundance of offerings from the host country, that being the United States, the European ones as well. But what has happened through these NGOs and the Catholic Church working under the cover of this protection that they were given, and the other churches? I mean, it's not just a Catholic Church, but this one is really taking things to the extreme. So Charlie Kirk understood that the faith is one thing, but the orchestration and the governmental political structure of the church is another thing. He loved the faith, as I do, and as the people I talk to do as well. But the problem is with this political, governmental situation we have with the Catholic Church in that role in this country and other countries, that steps out of this age-old relationship that we've had and is now taking things to a different level. We got problems. We got people who are over protesting in Broadview, Illinois, and endangering ICE officers there. Who led them? Who was leading that rally? Well, there were 2 Catholic priests. And one of them is an old problem that Chicago has seen for many, many years. When this guy would cause problems, he caused problems for Cardinal George. He's probably getting along with the guy they got in there now. But, you know, this Father Michael Flager out in front, you know, he's basically called for people to resist with violence if necessary. In years past. I don't know what he said lately. But this guy's a problem. But the bishops and the cardinals in Chicago are always too afraid to take him on because he has a fan base. What are they afraid of? Well, they're afraid of dollars and donations drying up in certain areas if he was to be corrected and told to cool it. So the Catholic Church reacts to pushback, and their pushback is when the collection plates begin to dwindle a little bit. So now we've got our gay sympathizer and promoter, Robert McElroy, being moved to the D.C. diocese to serve as a thorn in the Trump administration as being the local authority. They got him, and they got Tim Dolan in New York. I mean, he's just as bad. So he's been a problem since he was in Milwaukee. But now they move him up the line to take care of New York City. And, you know, we may as well just say goodbye to New York. It's going to go through a terrible next 4 years. And I think to give New York City any more help than just holding the door open for people to get the hell out is probably the best thing you can do for those folks at this time, because they're really putting their own noose around their neck. Do what you want. It's not my neck. So you got McElroy goes to D.C. You got Pham comes into San Diego. He's told to disrupt and cause as much problem as possible against the Trump administration's goals of deportation of these illegal immigrants. To get them to go back, and what does he say? He says, go back, get in line, do it the right way. We have a process. We've had laws. Everyone says the immigration laws are broken. No, they're not. They're just not being followed. If you want to fix it, we can fix it, but you got to start following the rules. If you wanted to make it more streamlined, I'm sure that the Elon Musks of the world can figure out a way to use AI to make things a little faster and more conclusive with the findings. But that hasn't been given an opportunity because the push is all for the illegal, the disruption, the chaos in the streets. It's a safety issue, and we as law-abiding citizens are not being given the opportunity to post up about this and to oppose it, because the churches all want to declare that those who oppose this kind of thinking are the bad guys. You're the Nazis. You're the Hitlers. What's wrong with you? We're not Hitlers. We're not Nazis. We're law-abiding people who want to see what we build endure. What is wrong with that? So what do we do? Well, you can wait, and prophecy has said that the church will split, and it seems to be in that role right now, because what we've got in the United States is people who are watching what's going on are having to have a very determined conversation with themselves. Are they looking to protect their country and that which has been built under God as a unique situation that the world has never seen before? Or are you going to let the churches and these lefties come in and just take everything away and destroy it and make it so it doesn't matter anymore. There is no regard for quality. There is no regard for property. There is no regard for work and reward. There is no regard with delayed gratification. There is no regard for God's natural law. God's natural law doesn't need words. You ever notice that? It doesn't need words. It just needs half a brain that realizes this fits, that doesn't. So the church is splitting. And we said before, this has been prophesied. It's nothing new. I believe there will be 3 Catholic churches when this is all done. There'll be your Eastern Orthodox, which split off years ago. There'll be your Roman Catholic Church, which will be your LGBTQ, everybody's right kind of thinking. And then you'll have your Western Catholic Church, which will be your conservative base, and that'll be the people who are not going to stand for this kind of idiocy. We're being pushed towards this determination point. That's what we're looking for. We're being pushed into this by outside forces. This is not organic. This is not something that's coming from the masses. This is something that's being pushed on from the top. Look around. You'll agree. You'll see it. So how do we take back our voice in this situation? Well, it's been proposed many times by many good Catholic bishops and cardinals over the years. And I think it's time right now to pull out the old playbook. And I would submit that we need to do the $1 test. $1. $1 gets put in the collection plate each week. No more, no less, $1 bills. Flood the collection plate with $1 bills. One at a time. So Father Havel used to tell me that it cost roughly 10 cents to provide mass services for each individual coming to church. This included the cost of the host, the wine, the candles, the preparation, maybe a fee for an organist if they had one, that type of thing. So 10 cents was the cost, but this was back in the day. So let's say for inflation, let's give it a 10-time factor. Let's call it $1. So if everyone just puts in $1 for the next several weeks, it doesn't take long. They're going to get the message. Just flood the collection plate or basket with single $1 bills. This is your vote. This is going to let them know that, hey, I understand what's going on here and I don't like it. And if you don't like it enough, stay home. Watch the Mass on TV like a lot of people do. If it was good enough during COVID, why isn't it good enough now? Well, it's not good enough now because they want you in the pews so they can get what's in your pocket. When you were staying at home, they weren't getting the donations. But you were still getting Mass because the Holy Spirit came to you because of special dispensations that they allowed. Well, Jesus got ahead of the game before the church way back when, because he told everyone that if there is trouble and there is peril and you cannot get to Mass, the Holy Spirit will come to you. So let's keep the door open for the Holy Spirit to come. Maybe watch Mass on TV. You can do it a couple times. It's on frequently throughout the day. My mother does. So give that a shot. Just basically the $1 test. It won't take long before they realize that this is real and they need to basically go to confession. The Catholic Church needs to go to confession. And wouldn't it be something if as Catholics and how Catholics allow for the confidentiality of the confessional. What if we had the confessions of our Pope had to be public? Because the Pope isn't just a regular person now, is he? Jesus didn't confess in private. Why should the Pope? Is he going to be a leader among men? Let's see. $1 test. $1 in the plate. No more, no less. Try it for 1 month and see if some talking points don't come out of that. So we're in trouble, and it's not going to get any better. It's going to just come down to where you're going to have to make a decision. And after a while, it's not going to be that hard to make that decision. So look around for your conservative pastors. Enjoy them. If they start talking about this LGBTQ stuff, you know it's time to leave. Because that's not right. I'm sorry, it's just not right. There's a way to be compassionate about this, but their method right now is not right. It's very, very destructive to the fabric as a whole. They think they're doing the greatest thing. They're just laying more problems, and this is going to break. It should break. So in the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.